the things we had learned in Gascoyne Junction was the importance of booking accommodation ahead of time. When we'd arrived there, they had just let out their last room in the motel, so we were forced to put up our tent for the 2 nights we were there, even though we were pretty exhausted from just having done 6 hours of dirt road riding. This is due to the COVID pandemic because Australians can't travel abroad anymore, so they have to travel around their own country for a change. So needless to say, we booked ahead for a room in the motel in Carnarvon. All we knew about Carnarvon at this point in time was that it was well known for its banana plantations. However, this was soon to all change when a few months later a little 4-year-old girl called Cleo Smith was abducted from her family tent at a nearby campsite, and only 18 days later was she found at the home of an Aboriginal man called Terry Kelly, who lived in Carnarvon, and he had a strange obsession with Bratz dolls. But anyway, this made headlines worldwide, and suddenly Carnarvon was on the world map. If you'd watched part 1 of our Outback adventure, you would know that I lost my summer gloves after the incident with the traffic officer in Moora, which was only on our 2nd day of our trip. And so I only had my winter gloves with me, and it was getting really hot now because we're quite far up north. So my hands were starting to sweat a lot, and it made taking off and putting on the gloves very difficult. We had Googled where to find a bike shop that sells gloves, and the only place we could find was just as you arrive in Carnarvon. So we headed straight for this shop before going to find our motel. When we arrived at the bike shop, it was lunchtime, and so of course it was closed. We decided to rather just hang around for half an hour and wait for it to reopen rather than having to come back again later. They didn't stock any decent summer gloves like the ones I'd had previously, but I did manage to get a pair of Enduro gloves, which at least were 100 times better than wearing the winter gloves in this heat, but they just didn't provide as much protection as my previous gloves had.
Busy road. nice to get out of his clothes and go for a beer, walk beer.
Yeah, we don't take any payments out
Unless we wreck the joint or
Yeah,
something.
big party in there without inviting me, maybe.
Last time we feel
Or
like a
get
party, we need a break.
Is there a laundromat anywhere near here?
We've got a laundry.
Ah,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
The machine takes $2 $1 coins, and then there's a dryer as well, or there is a line.
Okay.
We just need coins because we
Coins, yeah.
Yeah, we can give you some coins.
Ah,
Great,
super,
thank
thanks.
We used the opportunity we had at Carnarvon to buy some groceries for the next 2 nights at Cheela Plains and also to catch up on our washing. This was another thing we'd learned when we were at Gascoyne Junction, is to always keep coinage with us when we're doing trips, because some places have marvelous laundry facilities, but because you can't get coins to operate them in these outback areas, you can't do the washing. So we'd had to skip it at Gascoyne Junction and rather do it in Carnarvon. Thankfully, Duchess made it to the roadhouse with her fuel, but I think by the time we got there, there were only fumes left in the tank. I learned two things at this point in time. Firstly, how far my bike can go when the fuel range shows that it's empty. It can go at least another 15 kilometers. And the second thing I learned is never to trust my husband's judgment. If I think I should put in fuel, just do it. Otherwise I end up stressing about running out later. Nanutarra Roadhouse is a family-operated business which is situated on the banks of the Ashburton River, and it's surrounded by large cattle stations. This roadhouse is fully self-sufficient, and it generates its own electricity, treats its own water and sewage, and also general waste. The food is road freighted from Perth, and fuel supplied from Port Hedland, which is 600 kilometers to the north. Strangely enough, Nanutarra is also named after an Aboriginal word for a type of bulrush, which grows in this area. Seems like they like naming things after bulrushes in Western Australia. Somebody's moving their house. Here at the river. Very pretty here. Nanutarra. Once we left Nanutarra, we finally turned eastwards, and the road became a lot more interesting, with more rocky outcrops, hills, and different vegetation. This area we are in now is known as the Pilbara region, which is known for its very red earth and also vast mineral deposits, particularly iron ore. The Pilbara region in Western Australia is twice the size of the United Kingdom and is very rich in Aboriginal history. Cheela Plains Station is situated 90 kilometers west of Paraburdoo. It's a family-owned and managed working cattle station, nestled in the semi-arid pastoral rangelands of the Pilbara in northwestern Australia. Just arrived at Cheela Plains, just managed to get our tent set up because it looks like the rain's on its way. And this is our little spot. It rained heavily most of the first night we were at Cheela Plains. Phillip had accidentally pushed his luggage against the side of the storage compartment of our tent, which had resulted in rain dripping into that area. So when I got up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom, I stepped out our sleeping area into a nice puddle of water, with most of our luggage lying in this puddle. Fortunately, we keep our things in waterproof dry bags, so most of our stuff was still dry. But I had to dry up the puddle and move the luggage around so no more water could get in. Not much fun at that time of the morning. We found out by chatting to a lady at Cheela Plains that night that most of the flowers we've been photographing are noxious weeds. Nevertheless, they're still pretty. Been for a walk to the cave and just stopped here just to show you how totally flat it is. We're like on a floodplain here where nothing actually grows, but plenty of water around. No wonder it's called Cheela Plains. Operation Oil the Chain.
Doing it this way.
Chainsaw bar oil is the best lube for your chain. Lasts the longest anyway.
Chainsaw?
Bar, yeah.
Yeah, the bar oil.
I race
sticky.
enduro and motocross.
Ah,
So I'm not sick of using that because it's expensive.
yeah,
It doesn't last very long.
yeah.
Yeah, it's O-ring chains, you know, so strictly speaking,
But I always will.
the chain is lubricated. It's so much dirt and
What makes it? So where you from?
Perth.
yeah, south of Perth.
There you go.
Carragini.
It's going to get a carragini.
Yeah, and then back round the other way.
Down
Yeah.
to Newman.
Yeah, yeah,
Cute.
yeah,
Para.
yeah.
And probably sandstone.
Oh, you're going to go to Sandstone?
Yeah,
Oh, through the centre.
yeah,
Sandstone, nice town.
Oh.
yeah, it looks interesting.